Hey guys, this is Tech Howdy. I've come to another video tutorial where we are building this CMS application using ASP.NET Core 3 and Angular 10. In the last video tutorial, we were working on the email service. We have created the email service and we have implemented the UI to make changes to our email settings in the admin panel. We tested this UI by changing the values, and the values then get updated in the app settings file. We have already tested that, but in this video tutorial, we are going to create an account with SendGrid and also use the Gmail credentials to send emails to our users. So this video will be about testing the sending of emails to our users. Also, if you have not watched the previous video tutorial on how we set up the email service, I recommend you to watch that video tutorial before you go ahead and watch this video tutorial. The source code will be in the video description, so if you want to download it, you can download it from the link in the video description. So now let's go ahead and create the SendGrid account so that we can use it to send emails to our users. So to create an account with SendGrid, you need to open your browser and go to sendgrid.com. Here on sendgrid.com, you'll see an option on the top right to create an account for free. If you already have an account, you can sign in. I already have an account, so I will sign in. But if you don't have an account, you need to create an account. So you can click on try for free and you will see a sign up form. Fill in your credentials and then create an account. There's a button over here that's grayed out. It will appear as soon as you fill out the details and fill in the CAPTCHA. So the next thing that we want to do is, after we have created the account, we want to sign into our account. So let's go ahead and sign into our SendGrid account. So once you sign into your account, you'll see a dashboard like this. Here on the top, you can see I'm being shown a message which says my trial is expired. Therefore, I can only send 100 emails per day. But when you start the free account with SendGrid, you will have an option up to 30 days to send unlimited emails, or I think it's up to 100,000. So please go ahead and check it when you create a new account. But once that trial period is expired, you can only send up to 100 emails. You would have to purchase the service in order to remove this cap of 100 emails. So you can go through the pricing of SendGrid if you wish to subscribe, but if you just want to test the service, you can just create a free account and you can test the service. The next thing that we want to do is we want to create an API key that we want to use in order to send the emails to our users. So here on the left, you can see there is an option which says Email API. If I expand this option, I can see an integration guide. Here on the integration guide, you will see that there are two ways in which we can set up the email service using SendGrid. We can use the Web API or we can use the SMTP options. So if we use the SMTP options, we would have to just modify these details over here. But we want to use the Web API option. Therefore, if we hit choose, we will have an option to select the language in which we want to integrate this service or this Web API. So since we are using C#, which is part of ASP.NET Core, I will choose C#. Here you can see the process in which you can use the SendGrid service. Here are the steps provided by SendGrid. You can see that it requires the library. It requires us to install the library. We have already installed it. We have set up a service. It requires us to create an API key. And if we want to use the class, this is how we have to use it. So we will go ahead and create the API key that we want so that we can use it in our application. To create the API key, you can create the API key from here by providing a unique name for your API key and hit this create key button. Or you could go to settings. Under settings, you will have API keys options. If you click on that, here you will see the options which will list all your API keys that you have created using SendGrid. These are my previous keys that I used. I can go ahead and click on this button, create API key. And here I have to provide the name for my API key. So I can call this as CMS_core. and I will go ahead and give full access to the API key that I am creating. If you want to provide it a restricted access, you can use this option. But for this video tutorial purpose, we would need full access. So I'm going to choose the option full access and then create and view. Click on this button. Here you can see that there is an API key created. Don't worry, I will delete this API key, but you would have to create your own API key in order to use it with SendGrid service. So you would not be able to use this key after you have watched the video tutorial. That's because I will delete it. So make sure you create your own key. Once you create your API key, you have to save this API key because this API key will not be shown to you once again by SendGrid. So as it mentions over here, please copy and save this key somewhere safe. That's because you would not be able to access this key once again. So I'll copy this key on Notepad and I will save it so that I have access to it. So the next thing that I would want to do is go to my application. Here I would have to replace this SendGrid key with the key that I just created, and the user is basically my username for SendGrid. So I will go ahead and create that username. So I have already have the username over here under my option over here on the top left. So if I go to the account details, here you can see that you will be able to see all your information. So the email address, the uh, username. So this is my username. So I'll copy this and go back to the SendGrid user and paste it over here. Make sure you use your own username and your own API key, otherwise this service will not work. Here you have to specify a from email. So I'll go ahead and specify the from email. Your from email should be the email that you have under your personal info. So if you use some other email, it is not going to work. So you will not be able to send your emails. So you have to always use the email that is associated with your account. So this is going to be our from email. So I'm going to copy this and paste it over here. And here you need to provide a name for from whom we are sending this email. So I have put my name over here as Tech Howdy. You can replace this with your own values. So I want to set this service as default true, which means we are going to use this service. And this is how this service is now going to look after we have created the API key, added our username, our email, and a full name from full name. So I'm going to save the app settings file. Keep in mind that we can also copy this key from here and also use the UI that we created to update the key like this. So we could copy the key and paste it over here. So I am going to go back to the app settings file, copy this key. Let's replace this with some dashes. Go back to our UI and I'll just refresh the page. Here I'm going to delete this, paste this key over here and update it. I need to reload to see the changes. If I go back to my app settings, here as you can see the key is going to appear because we have already applied these settings. We have created this service and implemented this feature in the last video tutorial. So once again, if you haven't watched it, please go ahead and watch that video tutorial. So now we would have to test our email service. We need to make sure that we are able to send emails to users. So let's go ahead and test the email service. So to test the email service, we will go to the user controller API that we have created. In this user controller API, which can be accessed by the admin user, we have a reset password method, which we use to reset user's password as admin. Here in this controller, I'm going to instantiate the email service using dependency injection. And once I've instantiated this service, I'm going to call the send email async method that is associated in this service. Here when we call this method, we have to specify the email of the user who we want to send the email to, a subject, a message, and the template name. So in the user controller, we receive the user's email as the response of the reset password async method. So if we go to the implementation, here you will see that the user details is a list that we return, and when we return this user details list, we add the email and password to this list as a string, and the email is at index position 0 while the password is at index position 1. So in the user controller, we have the email at index position 0 of the result. Then we pass the second parameter, which is the subject of our email. The third parameter is the message of our email. Here we have used string interpolation to replace the password in this email. So we will always append the password that we receive in the result. That's the new password for the user to log in. And finally, we have to specify the name of the template. We have created the email templates folder, which contains the reset password template, and we have specified the name of the template file. Now, when we go back to our application, since I cannot test the email for this user, reset the password for the main admin user because I don't have access to the cms.com email, I'll go ahead and change this user's role to administrator so that I can log in to this user's account using the admin login form. I'm going to now reset the user's password. So I'll go ahead to the backend. Here I've set a breakpoint. So as soon as I hit the reset password method, I'm going to hit the breakpoint. As you see, the reset password method breakpoint is hit. Here, if I press continue, we receive a result. The result contains two properties. As you can see, that's the email and the password of the user. This is the same password that will be emailed to us. So if we go back to the email address that I have over here, if I refresh, I've not yet continued this, so let me just continue this. Now if I refresh, I should see the email being received here in my inbox. Here you can see the subject. The subject that we set was password reset. And here when I click on this email, here you will see that we have the new password, which is the password that I showed you when I hit the breakpoint. So now this is the new password for the user to log in, and let's try logging into this user's account. So if we go back to the application, the password was reset. Let's copy this user's email. Let's log out as the admin user. Since the user is now an admin, I can use the admin form to log in. I'll go back to the email and I'll copy this email's the password that I received, the new password. I'm going to paste it here and try to log in. Here, as you can see, I have successfully logged in with the new password. So the password reset was successful. I was able to log in, and if I go to the activity log, I should also see that the reset password was successful and activity being entered. So now we have successfully tested the email settings. So if we go back with the email settings, yes, we have successfully checked the email settings for the SendGrid service. Now we would have to try to change this email from SendGrid to our Gmail. Here you would need to replace this with your Gmail address, email, and your Gmail password and username. So once you have done that, we can go ahead and test the sending of email using the Gmail email service. So let's go ahead and update this. So here I have updated the Gmail credentials for sending email using your Gmail account. So please go ahead and create a test Gmail account. Don't use your primary Gmail account for this. If it gets banned or if you lose your account, then I would not be responsible. So please use a secondary account if you can create a test account. Here for the SMTP, you would need to provide the SMTP username, a password, which will be your Gmail username, Gmail password. You don't change this host if you're using Gmail. The port number remains the same, 587 for Gmail. We're going to use SSL, and we are going to specify a from name on the email and a from email email address, which is our Gmail address that we are going to use for this username. And the default provider, we will switch this to true. That's because we want to use this as a default provider to send emails. So once you have done this and you click update, you will notice in your app settings file, if you go to the app settings file, the password gets encrypted. So you would not be able to see the actual password because that's the way I have implemented the logic to encrypt the string. So when you upload this to your server, these files to your server, nobody would be able to decrypt this unless they have the key. So we have the key already implemented here, but when we implemented these keys, I had recommended that you always store your key in some secure service like Azure Vault. But since this is just a tutorial that I'm showing you guys, I put the key in the same file. Usually I would not leave the keys in the same file. I will put them on a separate machine, or I will put them on a different server depending on my requirement, but it would never be in the same file as the app settings. So that's from the security standpoint. So here I have the password that is encrypted with this following key. So now if I try to test sending an email, so I would go to the all users and I will try to reset the users email. So let me go to the inbox. Let me clear the inbox so we don't have any emails. And now we are trying to send the email using Gmail. So I'm going to hit reset password. Here we received the call, so I'm going to hit F5. Here now we have received the result, which contains the new password. Let's look at the password. It's F6. So it starts with F6, the character is F6. I'm going to now hit F5. Now we'll go back to the inbox over here. And here you can see that the email has popped up in my inbox. And if I click on it, I should see the same password as well. So now we have completed the testing of sending emails in our web project using Gmail and SendGrid. So now I'm going to try logging into the account with this password. So I'm going to click OK. Let's log out and let's try the new password. I was able to log in successfully, so everything worked fine. So in this video tutorial, I've shown you how you can set up emails in your application that you're building using ASP.NET Core, and how you can use these email services. We have used two email services. One is the Gmail and the other one is the SendGrid email service. Now, if you want to buy the premium version, you can go ahead and buy it from the SendGrid's website, or you can use just the free version for testing purposes. So for the app settings files, when I push this code to the DevOps repo, I'm going to delete these keys, and you would not be able to know what is the actual key. So you would have to replace these keys with your own credentials. So don't forget to do that. Otherwise, you will not see any emails in your inbox. So make sure that you update these values with your own values. So if you are using the YouTube comment to ask me that I'm not receiving any emails, so my first response will be, have you updated this API keys and the details here in this section? So that's the primary thing that you would need to do. So by doing this, you will be able to see the emails in your inbox, and you can test both these services. You can also test some other services other than Gmail. So find the appropriate port number if you want to use Yahoo for Yahoo,
offer some other email service, and update these details accordingly and test your emails. So this should be it for this video tutorial. All the code will be pushed to the DevOps repo. You will find the link in the video description. If you have any questions, use the comment section and I will answer them. Please do not forget to like and subscribe our channel Tech Howdy. Thank you once again.